Hi, Natasha Trenev here with John Malanca, and we're so happy to let you know we're starting a series which we'll name The Revolutionary Health Solutions for Chronic Disease with Gut and Health Experts. So we feel that there's so much noise about gut health and we're not getting anywhere. And so our first topic for today, which we'll handle very gingerly, is called Candida and Cancer, Unmasking the Hidden Connection. And John has a history of dealing with patients and the sacred plant. And I've been in this probiotic field for 56 years. In fact, I named the whole probiotic field. So I feel there's not enough accurate information out. Just remember, we're not offering medical advice. We're not telling you not to listen to your doctor, but we are offering you advice that we know that have worked for people for 10 or more years. And I've worked with some of the greats like Dr. Crook, who wrote one of the first books on the yeast connection. So we both have our histories, and we want to share all of our knowledge with you because we feel we're not making progress in the area of chronic disease. So John, I'll let you introduce yourself and give your view.
Thank you. John Malanca here, and a longtime user of Natren Probiotics. My company's United Patient Group, as well as a Sacred Plant. And we help patients. We handhold patients going through the untangled web and crazy web of healthcare these days. You know, where do I go? What questions do I ask? Where do I start? Who do I believe? What works? What doesn't work? And so over 30 years, 3 decades of helping patients and family members, just sharing our knowledge. And this is why I think Natasha and I get along so well, because she's been doing this for over 5 decades. You and your husband Jordan have owned Natren for 42 years, which I applaud you, because there are not too many companies, not only here in the U.S. but globally, that are still in business after 42 years and helping others. And you know, you always mention your age, and I think you look wonderful for your age. And I know your daughter wants you to retire, but you have it in your blood. We have it in our blood to pay it forward and help others. The topic of cancer is, I don't want to say near and dear to me, but you know, I lost my wife to cancer, pancreatic cancer, and you know, we did everything right. You know, health and wellness, eating right, sleeping. But sometimes when the gut is off, and we don't even realize. And so I truly believe back in 2012, we did a probiotic test, and I felt nothing. I felt great. And Corinne had total flu symptoms. Little did I know, 5 years later, she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And that's someone who didn't drink, didn't smoke, worked out, stayed healthy. And so I wish that we really took those symptoms seriously. And I don't want to be, I'm not a hypochondriac, but little things like that, that I work with on a daily basis with families, as well as you, Natasha, share really listening to what your body's telling you. And when your gut's off, everything else can be off. What are some of the symptoms with Candida? And can you talk about Candida? Candida is a type of yeast, which also is
it's a type of pathogenic yeast.
Yep.
And pathogenic yeast, Candida is only the best known one, but many of the yeasts can become predatory because they change their shapes. And when they change their shapes and grow hyphae or long projectiles that actually attach themselves to your intestines, and they'll pump you full of toxins, especially when they don't get sugar, which is what they need. And we see article after article now, some recent ones, even last year, about sugar feeding cancer. And the reason sugar feeds cancer is because of the Candida, which nobody talks about. In fact, they talk about it in very abrupt stages, and they don't really go in depth about that it's needed dietary change, your perception of reality, taking the right precision probiotics, taking some natural antifungals. And, you know, this is a process. It's not a quick fix. And we really have a crisis, I believe, in the United States with chronic disease, when we're spending $4.3 trillion on healthcare and 80% is for chronic disease. And the new data we have is that in 1960, only 6% of the children had chronic disease. Today, 60% have chronic disease. So with all of our gurus in health and gut care, we're not making progress. So there's either something wrong with the information or the products and solutions that people are offering, but we have to take this seriously And, I've been in this field for 56 years, as John has said. I work with the greats in Candida. Candida is not an easy thing to get rid of. And usually there's other organisms that join it to take advantage of your body. When we learn about how these bacteria work in the body and what they really do to our body, instead of just looking for a quick fix or looking for some probiotic, unfortunately, the name has become to mean little now, because anybody with anything that they think is a probiotic can label it a probiotic, follow no standards, and then recommend it to other people. The number one thing in dealing with getting a healthy microbiome is know the probiotic products you're taking, identify your problem, and then, also engage in a wise diet. We give a free low carbohydrate diet on our site, which people can use free of charge. They don't have to buy anything. We also offer a very good exercise program developed by a health expert. That's free of charge. I give it to you whether you buy something or not. So we are dedicated in this series to give you our opinion, what we have seen work for decades for people who really are committed to getting their gut healthy. Because once you get your gut healthy, your body then has the tools to heal itself.
Can you talk about, when you say gut healthy and gut health, I agree with you, but what are some of the symptoms and that someone would know if he or she, I say he, because a lot of times a lot of these studies and discussions are always talking about women and Candida. Men can get Candida as well. So
absolutely. It affects their prostate just as it affects women's reproductive organs. You have an off menstrual cycle, men will have a higher PSA number. You'll have, headaches, you'll have depression, anxiety, all kinds of mood swings. You're not going to be stable mentally, because you're going to be going up and down like a yo-yo. You'll have bloating, you'll have gas, you'll have constipation, you may have diarrhea, you're going to have joint pain. You're just going to feel miserable, depending on how invasive the problem is. Every part of your body can be affected, including your liver, which has to deal with the toxins that the Candida produces. So not only is your gut attacked, your brain is attacked, it could affect the function of your heart, any of your organs in your body. And we'll talk about the pancreas, because the reason the Candida likes to attack the pancreas is because it produces insulin. What does insulin do? Lower the sugar content. When the sugar content is lowered, the Candida is starved. So that's why you go on a low carbohydrate diet. So we're going to talk about these things, and there are a multitude of things you have to understand if you truly want to get rid of Candida and get healthy again.
And a lot of those symptoms, and not do scare tactics for your audience, can lead to something else if you don't address it. And so, you rarely, why I like your style is that you talk about things, but I do truly believe that what leaves you hanging, and even when I'm watching your show, what would you recommend? I know you can't make recommendations, but what would you do for family?
Well, I say we give the tools to the body, and the person can decide if the tools are correctly used, and they change your perception of reality. The body has the tools to heal itself. We've been told that the body is a magnificent machine. So what I do is I tell people sometimes our healthy trinity is too strong, because the die-off will be so bad, people will feel miserable. They don't understand about a healing crisis. Nobody in Western medicine teaches them about a healing crisis. So sometimes we like to go slow. We start with our Healthy Start system. And that's why I encourage people to call 866, the number 4, and the name Natren spelled out, and talk to one of our ladies. Susan's been with me for 28 years, Carolyn for about 15, Sandra for about 12. Faye is a newcomer, about 3 years, but each one of these ladies is dedicated to help you make the right choices. They don't offer medical advice. They don't substitute for your medical health care. What we're trying to teach people is if you give your body the right tools and you change your thinking, you can allow your body to heal itself.
And that's straight from the mother of probiotics mouth. And so I don't know if any of you know that, but Natasha is considered the mother of probiotics. She actually wrote standards for probiotics here in the United States, and it's been part of her family for 750 years, passing down baton. And so we're here with Natasha. And so I thank you, Natasha. And as you mentioned, from Sandra, Susan, Faye, and Carolyn, they're a wealth of information. You can reach them here in the United States in the office. They've been with Natasha for years. And I know you mentioned that you were giving a promo code for
Yeah.
this. It was
gut GUT 25. We'll have that up on our website. You can do that, and I encourage you to call the ladies, because there are no companies that have any live persons. There are no companies that have the wealth of information that our ladies have, and they're not salespeople. They're here to really help you. They're more customer service people than anything else, and they really derive joy from helping you structure a constructive, personal dietary supplement plan. And in some of the series, we'll bring on experts and we'll give you natural antifungals that we feel work. And with a combination of that, I think we can start reversing some of these problems we see in our country, not only in our children, but in our adults and our elderly.
Well, you're doing something right for 42 years with the same company. I know over 10 million, but I think it's more, but 10 million bottles sold. So not only here in the US, but globally. And so, but come with your questions, come with your fears, share some experts that you would like for us to come on the show. It helps us answer these questions for you, our audience, and we're here to help. And again, Natasha, always a pleasure working with you. And please join us for our weekly series. These will be topics that have actually been written on and submitted by you, the consumer, the customers, and our listeners. So stay tuned, and we'll see you in our next series.
Yeah. And like I said, John said, come with your questions, because with your questions, other people learn. Yeah. Thanks, and look for the exciting new segments coming your way.
Thanks, Natasha. Thank you, everyone.